Well, for me, it's kind of like it's a logical thing. It's finding logic. It's kind of putting pieces together, like a puzzle, I guess. Creativity for me is using your sort of skill set or your tools, whatever tools you have, to piece together something out of chaos, you know. Just come back from training, so I'm not quite as look at you looking all sharp. Sorry, I'm a bit of a mess.
I mean, we don't have to start right now.
Oh, and am I gonna need I'm gonna need a shirt as well, aren't I?
I mean, you don't have to have a shirt. You could just go on the neck, whatever you're comfortable with.
Yeah, we'll just go with it.
Nice.
Hi. Okay. Are you just recording this whole thing?
I mean, yeah, I just started recording while I'll forget, but I mean, we can just we'll start with you doing your first attempt. So we'll do 3 attempts, 1 at the beginning, 1 towards the middle, 1 towards the end. Okay. Of an hour, and then I mean we can carry on talking after that or stop. We'll see.
Sure.
I think so. Go.
I think I'm going to go and meet some, because it's spring equinox today, so everyone's out and about and enjoying the lovely weather. So keen to get back out in the sun.
Yeah, for sure. No, yeah. Thanks,
man. Cool. Well, should we just? I don't know.
Let's get cracking.
Get cracking.
Yeah. So let's start with your first attempt. Okay. Do you want to know what the time is to beat?
I don't know if the pressure's going to help. Was that? Yeah, go on then. Hang on, I should present my Zimbo ties.
Oh yeah, nice.
The unboxing, the reveal. Okay, here we are.
Cool. So the time is 17 seconds.
17 seconds. I don't know if I'm not gonna be able to do this. No way. I can do it, but I can do it. It's gonna be messy.
Well, that counts as the trying. So put them level to start out.
Okay. Is that? That's okay.
Yeah. And let me just get a stopwatch going. Alrighty.
Lighting.
Okay. Okay, so how do I do this? We're gonna with your hands up, and then when you're finished, your hands up also. So like as soon as you're happy with it,
like a fine, yeah, and then I'm happy with the final piece. Okay.
Yeah.
And now just going to check that this is a mirror. Yeah, mirror image. Okay.
Yeah, put them level to start.
Ooh.
Yeah, because that's a bit of an art, right? Trying to get the right height.
Yeah, yeah.
Good. Okay, hands up. Ready.
3.
And go.
There. Don't forget that bit. Oh shoot. Oh, I've lost. Come on. I'm gonna go there. That's it. That's good enough.
Nice. All right, I think I'm gonna like not tell you a time.
No, what was that? I think that was pretty good.
It was damn good.
But I mean, I'm not satisfied. I mean, that's not presentable. That's not you know, it's a bow tie, but that's not. You'd have to, it's a lot of fiddling that needs to happen.
Yeah. Right. I'm not gonna tell you.
Okay, so I'll have another go in a bit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool, man. Sweet. That was impressive. You were
Good,
going
yeah. Yeah. Well, I hope I'm up there on the leaderboard somewhere.
Sweet,
I'll
man.
leave it there now.
Cool. Yeah.
Love it. And I'm sad to say, obviously with COVID and everything, I've still not really had a chance to wear it.
Yeah, it's a weird thing. Like, I mean, I'm working from home, so I don't really dress up that much. But part of me is like, I want to dress up now more than ever before. Like, it's just like, man, yeah, let's go out and like, why hold back?
Yeah, absolutely. And the bow ties are it's quite a sort of unique and interesting accessory.
Yeah. When can you remember like having a first bow tie?
I think it was for prom. Yeah, maybe. Oh no, wait, no, actually, no, I had a little clip-on one as a kid, and I went to a wedding. It was like an 8-year-old at my cousin's wedding in New York or whatever it was, and my brother and I were running around with our little clip-on ones.
Nice.
But yeah, always just borrowed my dad's ties and whatever. But then prom, I was very proud because I actually got a nice black proper bow tie and tied it myself.
You learn how to tie it, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's quite a thing up in Scotland with like the kilts and people wear a bow tie also. It's like
yeah. So for formal events, you'd wear your it's called like a Bonnie Prince Charlie jacket. So it's like a sort of like a low cut sort of thing. It's quite sort of tight. And you have your little bow tie.
But like is it like sleeveless? Kind of like a.
Oh, so you have a vest. Sometimes you have a
vest
and a thing, but it's the jacket. The Bonnie Prince Charlie jacket is a very sort of specific sort of jacket. Yeah. Goes with your formal attire.
Yeah.
But I'm not really qualified to speak on Scottish. I know I've been here what 15 years, but
yeah.
I think
you've adopted the culture a little bit, but
yeah. The Englishman wearing a kilt's a little bit dodgy.
Still touchy, yeah. But I feel like you were telling me there's somewhere in England where they have kilts.
Yeah. I mean, I think even Wales has it, but like all the southwest, or mostly Cornwall. So like way down south, they actually very proud Celtic sort of heritage. And they have their own little bagpipes. I think they have a very distinct Cornish tartan. They have their own language. I mean, Cornwall's like a mini Scotland, and I think some people are still kind of pushing for independence there.
Yeah.
Tiny little county,
That's
a little bit of a dream, but
because did you live there? You lived somewhere down south, right?
Yeah. So I mean, brief history. I was born in Dorset. That's where my mum's from. Born in Dorset, moved all around the country. My dad was a pilot in the Navy, so we moved all over the UK, Yorkshire, back down again, Dorset, Cornwall, Somerset. So I was in Cornwall for I think about 8 years as a kid. So a bit of primary school there, and
and then you had like a brief stint in New Zealand.
Yeah, so that was so Cornwall, then up to Somerset. Dad left the Navy. So the company is a Scottish company, biodiesel company. They we left Somerset for New Zealand, and that was age 11, 12. So it was only a couple of years in New Zealand. But wow. As a kid,
was that a big thing for you, like moving away from the UK? Did it
I think moving, because I'd done so much moving, by the time I was that 11, 12, I'd already had sort of 7 different schools. We'd moved house so many times that it felt like, oh, here's just like the next adventure. It kind of was the norm. Kind of expected it. Okay. So yeah, I've kind of always lived as a kid, up until the age of 15, 16, when I sort of finally settled, when we settled here in Scotland. It was always like what's happening? Where's the next place?
Yeah.
You kind of get itchy feet.
How did you find that? Did you, like, moving into a new school, did it just become, you just became used to it, or was it a struggle, like making friends? Or
I wouldn't struggle to make friends. I very much sort of, hi, I'm Charlie. Hi, I'm Charlie. Kind of. So I a bit of a social butterfly, I suppose, is what that resulted in. Maybe I very easily make friends, but probably don't hold on to them so well.
Interesting.
Because it's like just okay, next thing.
Yeah.
But you know, very happy to walk into a new school and or any situation and just sort of crack on, really.
Yeah. And that's awesome. And I guess because after you finished school, you decided to do marketing. Was it marketing that you studied?
Yeah, so I did. So high school in Scotland, finished high school. I wanted to do physics. I was really into, I just love space and understanding sort of astrophysics and all that sort of stuff. But I'm not particularly fast at it. The maths part, not very good at that. So my other option was business. So business management. And then, Heriot-Watt University, 4 years of beer pong. I'd like to think I have a degree in beer pong with a side of marketing. But managed to scrape through on that. And
can you remember why you chose marketing? Like what was it?
I think I've just always been really interested in sort of understanding consumer behavior, or just the social aspect of why we make purchasing decisions, and how that affects our lives and everything. I've always been quite sort of, as a kid, actually, like I would sit and watch the adverts, just like photos of me just sitting, staring, mouth gawping at these crappy adverts. But I kind of like, and I'd start to like rank them as a kid. Like I would start to analyze each advert. Oh yeah, that's good. Or I like the jingle on that one, or whatever. And so very much sort of always attracted to marketing, just because I think it comes down to storytelling. It was actually my granddad who was he would always tell stories. He'd sit down on his lap, or you'd sit on his tractor or whatever. That side is all farmers, so he'd sit in the cab of his little car or whatever, and it was just this storytelling that sort of always captured my imagination. So I think stories, marketing, how it all influences the sociology, is kind of my sort of interest, really.
Do you ever watch any ads these days?
Yeah, like you can get ad blocker on YouTube and things, but I purposefully leave it on, and I'm always watching. It's my job. I make adverts for a living, so I do analyze everything. It's a blessing and a curse. I can't look at an advert without just sort of breaking it down. I have to break it down and try and say, well, why did they use those words? Or I get very, very annoyed with some adverts, like this new Cinch. I don't know if am I allowed to sort of call them out, but there's a car company, a car reselling company called Cinch, and they're just using such old school sort of marketing techniques. It's just like, let's just blast the name out there, make it a thing. Just like they're clearly throwing millions of pounds of marketing at it, and it's just like everywhere you look, it's Cinch. And their TV advert recently, I think you've got one of the sort of a high profile, what's his name, Rylan, a high profile sort of TV celebrity kind of guy. And I tried to count it. There's something like, he says the word cinch in the space of 30 seconds, like 20 times. Have you cinched it? I'm like, well, anyway.
I mean, it sticks though, right? Once you
sticks, and that is marketing, and that's so so okay. You're like, well, that's old school, straight up repetition.
How
our brains work. So okay, if it works, then it's doing a good job. But I'm a little bit more in favor of subtle marketing that is sort of, you know, it's purposeful and yeah, just a little bit more. Here's something we have. Would you like it? But there's no pressure. You know, I feel like marketing sometimes can be sort of forces it down your throat.
Yeah. I mean, definitely like it's kind of especially now with the internet, right? Like there's no rush for you to buy anything. You can go research it and like, yeah. For me, like as soon as someone's trying to sell me something quickly, I like no, yeah, hold on. What's the rush to buy this?
Yeah, exactly.
That's interesting. Huh.
Just for also, me, sorry. Well, yeah, it's just like if it's forced, if it's marketing that's forced on you, and I just feel like I don't want to feel like, I don't want you to make me feel like I have to buy this, you know.
Yeah. Because I mean, do they know, like, is this really going to make your life that much better? Do they really know that? Like, how honest are they being? Like, if they're like, okay, here's this thing, we think you might like it. Here are like the features, or like, here's how it might make you feel good. But if they're actually honest, they don't know for sure that it's going to work. So
yeah, a
lot of the time it's just, yeah.
And that's the thing. And so, yeah, I guess from that, I've always, yeah, I see that evil side of marketing, or evil, or, you know, the dark side of marketing, the tricks and the clever tricks and mind games and everything. And I just feel like that can be used for good.
Yeah,
it should be used for good. You know, profit's great, but you know, I think purpose-driven marketing, you know, that's, or purpose-driven companies that use marketing that to share a story, share an idea that is sort of hopefully going to influence some sort of change. Like, those are the kind of people I want to work for. Work with, you know, stories you want to tell.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, that is it, right? Like when you do get those good stories, like, oh, these guys are doing this, and that story just spreads, right? It's just, yeah,
resonates, and then it's so easy to share,
yeah,
and repeat and tell that story again and again. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. So in parallel with you doing a marketing degree, you were working as a barman.
Yeah.
Waiter.
Yeah. So yeah, worked in the little village, worked in a little pub that we actually went to one day.
Yeah.
Way back.
On the canal.
Yeah.
What a spot.
Beautiful. It was lovely. Yeah. So yeah, I rocked up there at age 15, started washing dishes, and they said I was in the kitchen for about 2 weeks, and I was kind of full of energy and everything. They said, Charlie, you smile way too much to be a chef, so we're going to put you out the front. So that was it. My career as a chef didn't last very long. I was too happy, too chatty. Shut up! Get this kid out of here. He's all chatty, and there's all these grumpy chefs. Yeah, so that was it. So from the age of 15 to 18, finished high school, worked at the same pub, went traveling for a year, came back, university, same pub for a bit. So yeah, yes, basically hospitality was my window into, I suppose, as a lot of kids who, you know, get these sort of part-time jobs. That was my window into the workforce, and I realized I never want to work in hospitality ever again.
Yeah.
You know, it's high intensity, on your feet, so many hours.
Yeah.
And it's repetition.
Yeah. I did a bit of bartending, and it just broke me. Like, I just standing on my feet for so long, my back was just done. And but you definitely appreciate, you just see those jobs from a completely like different angle once you've done it.
Completely appreciate
it.
You know, I'll never ever have a go at a waiter.
Yeah.
You know, if the food's late, you can sometimes understand, or whatever if it's busy. But
yeah,
we've all been there. Yeah.
No, it's interesting, and I guess there's also we've talked about this before, but the aspect of you like actually learning soft skills there, right? And just learning to speak to people. And...
Absolutely, yeah. I think learning to speak to people and dealing with there's this, people's expectations, dealing with, managing expectations. When somebody, is upset because they didn't get what they wanted or whatever, and they get so emotional, and flip out at you, and it's like, okay, well, sorry, I made a mistake. And it's how to just stay calm. You've got to try and stay calm in those situations.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, but I remember I'm actually on my first shift in the pub, actually front of house as I came out of the kitchen. I remember this guy, I took over their plates and everything, sort of, laid all the plates down, and then went, okay, got everything, guys, all right, enjoy a meal. I just did that with, thumbs up, cool, and I, boosted off and carried on. And then at the end of his, cleared his meal away, gave him the bill, and then as he was leaving, he kind of stood up and sort of came right up to me, and he was like, I never, and he sort of stared straight at me, I never expect to be given the thumbs up after, I was like, I'm not your friend, I'm not your pal, who do you think you are? I was like, I'm sorry, like, what? So I've had this complex, like giving, I'm not allowed to do the thumbs up. And it was like this immediate thing. It's like, okay, some people just clearly, they're on other wavelengths, and not entirely other wavelength. And, that guy had no, really didn't think about what he was saying.
Yeah.
What does that even mean?
Yeah.
Sorry, you're upset by not having, by somebody giving you the thumbs up.
Yeah. You kind of wonder, what is the whole backstory there?
Oh, really crazy.
Because I think often people like flip out at like sort of their customer service people, because it's like the final straw. They've had like this terrible day, and there's this one thing they thought they could control, like ordering the correct drink, and even that it can't be done well or something, and it's just like, that's it.
But and then it's that emotional thing, just like, and it blows up. It's like, and
it's definitely for you, like you say, just learning to deal with people and manage expectations.
It is, managing expectations is really it. I find that now in my own work, has definitely carried over. Setting expectations and keeping people updated. And that's the same thing. If you're serving a table of food and the food's going to be late, don't run around trying to do other things. Go up to them and tell them your food's going to be late. Sorry. Be honest, and then at least they don't have anything to worry about. And if it's really late or whatever, then give them a refund. That's fine.
Like I've seen an interesting thing. It actually almost buys you more time. Like I heard that Domino's, I don't know if you've ordered on Domino's, they have like this little thing, and lots of restaurants do this, showing like what's happening. And I'm not even sure that's in real time. It's just like,
it's not
just this timer that just starts.
Deliveroo,
and it just, for you're like, oh, something's happening. It's just this feedback that just like, okay, I can see what's going on. And
when you're Amazon tracking a package, your parcel is out for delivery, like, okay, right. Before we had apps and whatever, you knew it would be arriving at some point, and you'd be looking at your watch and worrying, but there's something reassuring about knowing something is happening,
even though it could be exactly the same as before.
Completely. It's exactly the same process. Nothing's changed.
There
were all these individuals going about their business to try and make it happen. But if you're just kept a little bit in the loop, then you're slightly less pissed off.
And then, so correct me if I'm wrong, but like right out of uni, you started working with a startup?
Yeah, that's right. Well, actually, no. So I spent a little bit more time traveling. So my we'll get to my business, but this is how this actually is good how it all sort of started. I straight out of uni, my aunt is American. She had bought a piece of land in Belize, which is Central America. You know, it's kind of like right next door to Guatemala. It's in the middle of nowhere, this lodge sort of piece, and she sort of had these little huts in the middle of this jungle, essentially, inland Belize. There's quite a lot of really interesting tourism around there. These old Mayan temples, caves, and burial sites, and it's quite amazing. You know, this old ancient empire that's sort of buried amongst the jungle. So it's quite a rural, sort of quite a well, it's Central America, so there's lots of horrible animals, and it's hot and sweaty, and you know, sort of equatorial heat and jungle and all that stuff. Anyway, lots to do out there. But aunt had been a chef in her previous career and decided to go and run this lodge, but had never done any marketing. And because she was in the middle of nowhere, basically was really struggling to get sort of constant customers. So I was like, well, I could probably come and help, because I've just done a degree in business management and marketing, and my whole dissertation and sort of focus was on tourism marketing. So I've always been really interested in sort of understanding, you know, what makes people go to certain areas looking for all these different experiences. So yeah, was over there for a couple of months, and that's where I got the hang of using a camera, because I was like, well, I kind of wanted to blog about my experience.
Cool.
And then I found YouTube, and there was old Casey Neistat teaching the world how to do vlogs, and so I tried to do my own vlog. Please, nobody go and look it up. It's terrible. It was called Tripping with Charlie.
Nice. I'm gonna have to. It's an amazing name.
Tripping with Charlie is not that good at all, but it was fun, you know, and it was about these journeys that was going on and what I was learning. And anyway, so that kind of all started to glue together. While I was there in Belize, I went to some sort of conference. It was like the Belize Digital Marketing Summit. And my eyes were opened up to the amount of sort of, well, corruption that was happening in the tourism industry, and corruption, but also just where the money was going. So I suddenly got on my high horse, and it was like, wait a second, all this money is being poured into the cruise liner industry, you know, so they're turning all of the harbors so that they can take these massive ships. And all these ships, you know, hundreds of thousands of people pile off these ships, visit the city, and then jump back on with, you know, they visit the city, they've got their little coupons or whatever, jump off, spend their coupons, back on the ship, and off they go again. And I was like, well, what's that doing for the tourism for the country? You know, it's you're not actually encouraging people to experience the country. It's this whistle-stop tour, and you're neglecting. We're neglecting these inland businesses, not advertising. You know, in my opinion, the government should be promoting all aspects of their tourism in the country, not just sort of certain things. But that was all to do with money and whatever. So that got me a little bit like, okay, right, we've got to fight for the little people, you know?
Yeah.
So I got a little group together and sort of talked about how we could work with local businesses, other local businesses, how we could sort of work together and sort of market the area as a group.
Cool.
That all came to a sharp end, really. I just sort of it was either going to be a massive job to stay out there and try and make this work. So I figured, right, well, I'm going to go away, learn how to do this properly. And that's when I came back, and I did one final road trip. I drove from Edinburgh to Portugal and back with a friend of mine. So that was the final Tripping with Charlie.
Nice.
Attempt at trying to be a YouTuber. I think really tried to do the whole YouTuber thing, travel blogs, vlogs and stuff. Really, it was just a bit of fun. And in that time, decided I got offered this job with a tech startup, building a robot. If I wanted to come and try and sell that, so that was great opportunity, and that was it. Went and worked for CST, it was called. Castor Spey Technologies with and it was this, the initial concept was this single wheel that balanced itself, had like fans, and it used to balance itself, and we were going to try and sell it as this sort of cinematography camera platform. It then grew, it had then 2 wheels, and it had bigger cameras, and then became a security robot. It then became a strawberry scanning robot. So working for this startup was just like, you know, trying to readjust the strategy and everything. And then, yeah, that was it really. All kind of came basically when they what's it called? Pivot, that's the word. When they pivoted to a different market, they pivoted to sort of security market. No longer really needed a marketer, but I was surrounded by all these other tech startups in this incubator, and they all wanted my videos. So I immediately had clients before I even started my own business. So
nice.
That's kind of how I fell into what I'm still doing now, 3 years later.
That's cool. And I mean, when you started going, I mean, you're kind of going it alone straight out of uni.
Oh yeah.
But was that something that you thought, like, I'm doing this, I'm going to run my own business? Or it's just like, you suddenly, maybe one day you woke up and you were like, oh, I'm like self-employed, or?
No, it was a conscious decision to run my own business. I think I've always struggled. I think imposter syndrome, everybody suffers with imposter syndrome, but that was a major thing, kind of being surrounded by all these tech companies, realizing that there's all these agencies out there that do what I'm trying to do. But yeah, you know, sort of because I had these clients or friends, colleagues around me, just went for it.
Yeah.
And I suppose I never really had I had this.
Oh, got a disco going here.
Oh yeah.
I don't know what's going on. Hold on, my lighting is doing something weird. Oh, wowza. Okay.
Oh look, that looks good, yeah. Almost like we're going for interrogation lighting.
Yeah, I'm in the spotlight now. Oh well.
That's all right. It looks good. It looks good.
Sweet. Where were we?
We
were talking about
when I started.
Okay. Well, let's take a break there. You can have another attempt at bow tying.
Right.
All right. Let me get my stopwatch ready.
Oh wait. Okay.
Okay.
Wait, hang on. I can't remember how to do it. Gone blank. Okay, ready.
Okay, ready, go.
Right. I'm going for a cleaner tie now. Just got to perfect the technique. I've messed it up. Oh dear. Oh dear. I think we'll just stick with the first take. Oh, that's real messy. I've rushed it.
Oh. That might be the ugliest one so far. Sorry.
Yeah,
Charlie.
that's pretty rubbish, isn't it? That's not going to last a night. Okay, well that's good. Fine. We've got one more try.
Are you putting yourself on big screen? Are you like making yourself big when you do?
No, actually, no. I've got you smaller, just so I'm looking more towards the camera. Maybe I'll go full screen.
Yeah, next time. It's just so it's more of a mirror.
You can see, so I don't have to kind of.
Okay. All right. Yeah, one more try. That's cool. Nice. So now you've been running your own. Basically, what would you call it? Marketing, or that's like videography.
Videography, really. I think I have moved between trying to offer different services, and I think really people just come to me now just for videos. I have that marketing knowledge, and I will use that to sort of help craft whatever sort of video I'm making. So you should be able to come to me and know that the video has a purpose, and is driven by a goal, a marketing goal that you're trying to hit, not just sort of airy fairy, let's just make a little video, But yeah, so essentially videography, just making videos.
That's cool.
Telling stories. Yeah.
And so this is a question I am asking everyone on this podcast is, what is your definition of creativity?
I haven't really gone up. My definition of creativity. I feel like it's a sort of oh gosh.
Like if someone is creative, like what does that mean?
Well, for me, it's kind of like it's a logical thing. It's finding logic. It's kind of putting pieces together, like a puzzle, I guess. Creativity for me is using your sort of skill set or your tools, whatever tools you have, to piece together something out of chaos,
Yeah. And what does that look like? And so in your work now, if you're being creative, what do you do that's creative?
Well, start to finish, I think so. Like the first piece of creativity is client has a rough idea of what they want. Let's say they are a chiropractor, and they have a small place where they do all of their chiropractic. So, they'll talk to me about, what they want to do. And as they're talking, there's this sort of internal, like the lights light up, I'm start to envisage, okay, I can see, so, but that's coming from a logical process. It's kind of, you're giving me information, but I'm now turning that into images in my own head. And then how would I then solve that to create that? So it's not like you sort of just sit there and imagine the whole thing. It's kind of a step-by-step process that enables you to create something from nothing, I guess.
Yeah. And I mean, do you like sketch down your ideas, or like
no, not really. I
like...
mostly will just sort of put down one or two words that might help me sort of remember a certain shot. I do storyboarding, it's called. Okay. For bigger projects. I recently did one which is like an explainer about this data company. This is explainer video. It's quite complex, and so that needed a lot more sort of breaking down and planning. So yeah, there's that. So that's the initial part. But sometimes there's no initial planning. It's like, let's just rock up and try and capture something. So there's that creative element there. Suddenly you've got your camera and you're adapting to all the different situations and trying to sort of just find something. Yeah, it's more like a hunt, like a
kind of like framing things as you need them to be framed. And
yeah, exactly. And you're searching for a cohesive sort of storyline. And you're sort of you're logically building it as you go.
So you're going in there with this idea of like a story, like this is the story I'm trying to tell, and then
yeah, what's the purpose?
You're trying to like paint the different pieces of like, okay, I need a shot that'll tell this bit of the story, this bit of the story. Is that?
Yeah,
or
exactly.
or I guess you maybe even just figure the story out as you go along.
Yeah, sometimes the story unfurls as you're going along the day, or the shoot. It sort of just happens.
Yeah,
I quite like that. I quite like being on my toes and ready to go. And then sometimes let me just, there's a part that we need to cover, so okay, go and reshoot that bit from a different angle. And so yeah, you build the story as you go, whether you plan it out or whether it happens in situ in the moment. It is kind of the same process. It's a logical step-by-step process.
Yeah.
So I struggle with the idea that creativity is separate from logic. I don't know what specialists would say about that, whether it's correct or not, whether there are two different sides, but I feel like one feeds the other.
Yeah, that's interesting. Because some people would say logic is like very different to creativity, like creativity is all over the show.
But imagine, I imagine a chess master is incredibly creative. You have to be, as a chess player, you have to be creative. You have to be able to think on your feet and change. And you've got these rules, but it's how can you be creative in that space?
Yeah. And what do you think of that? What do you think of rules and like boundaries, and kind of like limits to things?
In terms of video, I think you shouldn't put too many barriers up. I think I certainly don't like creating for an algorithm. I much prefer to as I'm creating it, does it feel right? Do I feel an emotion when I watch it back? And then it's like, okay, the emotion's there, the story's there, it sort of conveys it. I may not stick to a specific formula. So yeah, it's a little bit more of a feel thing, I think.
Yeah, interesting. And I guess that's maybe something that comes just from doing it over and over again, right?
Yeah, I think practice.
That's kind of like the art of it.
Yeah. Experience, because then if I think back to when I first started shooting with these tech companies, it was all very much, okay, learning on my feet, let's just go and do it. But you'd get a setting wrong, and then you'd look back at that footage, you review it, and you go, I made a mistake there. But then you think, okay, I learned from that next time. Or you cut the top of someone's head off, like the frame was like this, or whatever. These little things you learn, you just pick up all these different things. Like, okay, so if and then you can start to think, well, different angles are going to mean different things, and you can convey different emotions, and you get sort of quite clever with the cinematography and lighting and all these, so many elements that you craft to sort of then, but I don't think anyone could do that without practicing it. Like I never studied film, never studied cameras, photography or anything, and here I am still doing it. I think anyone who goes to university and studies film, you still got to go out and make films. You can learn all of the read all the literature and get all the sort of basics there, but you've got to go and do it again and again, and that increases your skill set.
Which is, I mean, you mentioned it already, like the imposter syndrome. It's so tough, right? Like university gives you this certificate. You're like, okay, I can do this because I've got the certificate. But like when you're doing it on your own, it's like,
it's a lot harder. Definitely. I always have wished that I would sort of do it with someone else, you know, have a partner to bounce ideas off, because you don't have really someone to keep you in check. The clients will keep you in check, but in terms of running a business, you don't have that. You don't have, what do you think about this? But then again, actually, it's quite nice because then I don't have to worry about anyone's opinion. Just go and make it. Just do it.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, if you worry too much about what people are going to think, or if it might be interpreted slightly differently, like, well, that's somebody else's interpretation. That's fine. So, yeah.
The big thing is just putting it out there, right? And then seeing, like you said, the client will tell you.
Yeah, the client, or the stats, you know, whether it performs, whether video performs or not. But you kind of just have to go for it. And I think hiring a videographer is probably quite a difficult process, because you know you're it's like this custom thing that doesn't exist. You know, it's never existed before for your business, and you kind of have to believe that it can be created in the best way possible.
Makes
sense.
What do you think, for like businesses that are trying to hire a videographer, like what would help them to do that? Like,
I think everyone has a sort of even people who say they're not creative, and I really hate that when people say I'm not creative, but I think approach the whole thing with an open mind and go, okay, well, even if you don't have the skills, everyone's watched a video, you know, basically have a think about your story and how you want to tell it. So, and then you can go to a videographer with something. You know, if somebody comes to me and says, look, I just want a video, can you come up with something, please? I'm going, well, where to start? You know, give me something to work with. So hiring a videographer, if you know what you want, makes it a lot easier for the videographer. But and then it makes it easier for you as the person hiring to decide whether somebody has the right skill set or not, or the experience, or the look. You know, the look's such an important part. Somebody's style might be very different, but if you don't do any research and you just go with the first videographer that you meet, it may not be the best fit. So, and I may not be the best fit for, you know, certain people, brands, whatever. Try and be as flexible as possible. But it's certainly not, you know, not everyone's forte. So know what you want. I think is probably well, for me, that's the easiest part. Easier way if the client knows that. But otherwise, I can, you know, I'd always sit down and talk it through and help you reach those.
That's cool. What would you say has been your favorite video that you've made?
Favorite video, to be honest,
doesn't have to be your best. Like,
no, probably my ShowReel. I think so. I made my ShowReel, which is basically like a highlights. You know, it's a highlight reel of everything that I've done. So I did one in 2020. I'm currently working on one right now. I did one in lockdown, the first lockdown. Basically, all my work sort of stopped, and I realized I had never made a summary video of all my work. And so I think in terms of like the imposter thing and everything, it kind of came full circle. And I made this video a couple of minutes long, and it, you know, it's short and sharp, and it cuts between all the my different work, the people I've worked with, and all these different things. And I finally got this feeling of like, wow, I've done all this, you know, and I've condensed in it. When you condense that all into a couple of minutes, it felt, for me, it's like, okay, you know, I've made it, or not I've made it, but this is,
it's like a validation, right?
Validation. This is my measure of success. This is this is what I have done. So I love, and I'll look back at it. Always watch it and kind of go, okay, you know, that's like a benchmark. So hopefully this, you know, 2 years later, I'm going to do one every 2 years, I think, because it's quite a lot of work that you've got to put in. So maybe, who knows, but yeah, so we'll see.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's like, journaling, but how a videographer journals, just that reflective process.
Yeah. But I mean, in terms of client work, I mean, I've worked with so many different weird and wonderful businesses, but anything that's outdoor, I love just sort of anybody who works in the outdoors. So I love sort of filming animals. I always say never work with kids and animals, but actually it's quite fun trying to film animals.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, nature, love all that. But I'd love to do, you know, I'm kind of thinking I want to do more like documentary stuff. I want to go, you know, bigger stories. Everything I do is I don't really make anything more than 5 to 10 minutes long, really.
Yeah.
I want to now expand that and go, okay, well, can I tell a bit more of a deep and meaningful story through a documentary and that sort of thing? So
yeah, that's cool.
A couple of things in the pipeline for that.
Awesome. What's kind of like a big challenge for you at the moment, would you say?
The freelance life, I think, is always been the biggest challenge, is managing a business and managing your time. It's time management. It's bad for that. So yeah, I just say the hardest thing is, you know, I'm very much a yes man. So everybody, you know, last week I've got lots of inquiries, and okay. You know, suddenly I'm going, right, well, how do I balance this all out? And suddenly I'm going to have, you know, even if I have 6 weeks of work back to back, but then you're not working on the pipeline, you're not working on the backlog of the future projects. So then suddenly you come to the end of your last project, and you've got nothing to do. Well, it's cyclical. It's very cyclical. So maybe I just need to accept it. I think, you know, maybe that's something I'm sort of thinking about. Sort of just accept you're going to live in this cyclical way. But I've always tried to find ways to avoid the cycle. So, you know, taking pauses between shoots so that I'm doing the drumming up. But I'm meeting an editor tomorrow.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, I'm hopefully going to at least have another pair of hands to help on these sorts of projects, on the editing side of things.
Yeah, that's cool.
Because editing is like this. You've really got to sit down for 6 to 8 hours to kind of crack out a full, and that's working at a blistering rate as well, you know. So if you know, it's really hard to sort of balance that out. If you know you've got all this editing to do, it takes so much time. Yeah.
And I guess more and more you just realize you can't do everything, right? Or you can do everything, but how well can you do it?
So that's it, I think. Yeah, but I've taught myself, I've got the skills, but that's great, and that means I should know what looks good. Therefore I should be able to have an opinion on somebody else's work. So hopefully I'm not too much of a bossy boss.
Micromanager kind of
Micromanager, yeah.
It's an interesting thing, right? Because I hear people
control,
I hear people saying like hire people who like can do stuff that you can't do, or like do the things that you don't want to do. But then I'm like, if I think of like, I don't know, accounting, like it just doesn't thrill me at all. But then I wouldn't know who to hire, right? Because I have so little, I'm so bad at it. Whereas like I could hire
a good
someone
accountant versus a bad accountant, yeah.
Yeah, like I could hire someone to do stuff with like marketing and design and things because I just know so much more about that. But there's like, that's kind of what I want to be doing. So it's a weird, it's like letting go of bits or yeah, maybe it's strange. Like but I guess, with you and the editing, and I've had it also with the podcast, I'm like, I can't do it all. Like I can't edit the stuff. Like I enjoy it, but I can't do all of it. So I need to get someone else to help me.
Yeah. So that's it. And I think that's how businesses grow, or at least in this industry. It just takes people. You know, unless you could write some very clever algorithm that does it all for you. Which I think is actually happening, and that's going to be interesting. You know, the next sort of 10, 15 years, these algorithms are going to get better and better. I mean, Apple will already start to, you know, you can, on your phone, it will take a whole bunch of photos and stick it to the music, which is essentially the principle, you know, the most basic principle of editing. And that's all done through an algorithm.
Yeah.
No human was, you know. So maybe one day I can just sort of come in after a shoot, plug in the card, and it'll just go
Siri.
Siri, right? Yeah, make video with emotion, please.
Yeah. I mean, that might be how it is, right? You still have that input. You still have that creative like oversight, but there's I mean, already there's so many tools, right? Like if you think of, we're already assisted with technology. But yeah, on that level.
But I think there's no reason that it, you know, if my thinking about, you know, logic and creativity and, you know, algorithms are all pure logic. But does that mean that these algorithms could be creative?
Yeah. It's an interesting debate.
It's a big debate, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like, and then what do we do? Yeah, it's a whole other. I haven't let myself like wrap my mind around that enough. Like, if we don't have to work, like, what do we do?
Yeah, our algorithm's doing everything for us.
Yeah.
I
mean, go play a lot of sport.
Yeah, a lot of the sport. Yeah, that'll do.
Which is maybe why there's like actually sport. I think about like sports becoming like big, sort of minor leagues becoming big, right? Like not like your amateur things becoming bigger and bigger, because in theory, people might have more spare time, but who knows when this will happen 10, 20 years down the line.
I hope so. I think, well, it's recreation, isn't it? And sport, it gives you that release. For me, it does.
Yeah.
There's a release, there's a escapism to it all, that you can only be afforded by spare time, by committing, sort of, by being able to afford spare time.
But then there's also the thing of like, we can do so much more than people who didn't have smartphones and laptops, and we're still not playing, we're still not like chilling out as much as we should, right?
Yeah, I know all the tools are there, and that's a great thing. And actually you're right, you know, on that, actually there's so many tools available that actually you know, these minor leagues can actually have, you know, really good talent, because kids these days are watching YouTube and they're learning from these pros that they never had access to.
You know,
you can go, so you can, as a hockey player, you can go and watch the GB goalkeeper go and do her thing, but you can look at the technique and go, okay, that's what space. But like, for me to go and meet her and learn from her would never have happened.
So
yeah, it's
like
great.
Yeah, I think back to when I did sport in like high school and stuff, and like only once maybe that I can remember did I ever see myself doing an activity. Like this one coach filmed us bowling and cricket,
Right. Yeah.
and like it helped. I think it helped me a lot, but like I just never filmed myself. I never saw myself from outside. So like it definitely helped me like swimming and stuff. Like have like the coach would be like, do this with your hand, do this. And like there's a lot of like you learn a lot of like self-awareness. But when you can see yourself from the outside, and it's so easy now, there's just cameras everywhere. You can really like up your game so quickly.
Well, I mean, literally, I have been through that in the last 6 months, really, before the break, before Christmas. So our league, my hockey league, is split in two. So you have the big league, and you play everyone once, and then after the break, you then split into like 3 smaller leagues, and then you sort of play everyone. So it's sort of meant to balance it all out, really. Okay. So first half, I mean, I had like a 10-0 loss at the beginning of the season. Getting back into it, I sucked. You know, the flexibility was rubbish. My mindset, you know, wasn't doing the right thing, wasn't training properly, sort of just throwing myself around. Brought the GoPro out and started watching myself, started researching a little bit of, you know, okay, what do other people do in this situation? And improving. And didn't let any goals in yesterday.
Nice.
And last week, we're a bit of a winning streak, the team at the moment.
That's
I mean,
awesome.
we're not close to, we're nowhere near close to pro, but you know, everybody trains twice a week.
Yeah. It's a funny thing because like I guess when I was a kid I was like, oh, I want to be a pro cricket player or whatever. But even now if I go play some sports, like if I'm trying my hardest and having fun, it's like as good, I'm getting maybe as much out of it as a pro cricketer would, and maybe even more because I don't have to worry about being paid.
Yeah, and the pressure to perform, that's the other thing, you know.
Yeah,
it's a huge thing, and you either put that pressure on yourself or it comes from other people. But I as an 18-year-old doing a bit of the national development stuff, so I played for the under 18s development squad, so I never made it into the main squad, but I was putting myself under so much pressure that I wasn't enjoying it. I was beating myself up because, and that was all mentality and everything, being a stroppy teenager. But you know, I struggled to enjoy the hockey because I put so much pressure on myself. And as soon as that was gone and I stopped doing that, I started loving hockey again, or loving goalkeeping, and it made it all worth it. And actually, and then my game actually improved. You know?
Which is ironic.
Because there was that, as soon as it's like, okay, well, if you let a goal in, it's not the end of the world. There's going to be another try, you know, another attempt. There's something in the psychology of all that. It's quite interesting.
No, that's cool. And so now you're really enjoying your hockey.
Yeah, really. I mean, it's it's fitness, it's mentally stimulating, and it's just a great sort of release for me. You know, when somebody's whacks a ball at you at 90 miles an hour, there's a little bit of an adrenaline rush that goes through your body. You know, I mean, you've got to stay calm and you do the right thing, but there is a bit of adrenaline kick, so a little bit addicted to it too.
I think goalies are like adrenaline junkies, like
a little bit weird.
It's crazy. Like I think about playing field hockey now, I'm like, oh man, I would get hurt. Like I played in like high school.
Such a fast-paced sport.
So quick. It's
a bit nuts, but you know, you get your head around it. I think it's more scary being an outfield player, like a defender, You know,
You don't
like
have the
I've got
kit
all the
yet.
pads on, I'm standing there, I'll just get whacked, you know, problem, it just bounces off.
Yeah.
Like the defender's got to stand there with their stick and go, woo! So hats off to those boys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. We talked about this a bit before, kind of bringing across the creativity side to sports. Like, what are your...
Well, actually, really interesting. So I've just got back from coaching today, actually. So I'm coaching a few youth goalkeepers, ranging different ages, 14 to 18. But we actually spoke about this earlier, sort of how no ball is ever the same that comes at you. You know, you've got in hockey, there's the D that you can shoot within, but there are so many different factors that mean that whatever happens, nothing's ever going to be the same. So you can't just practice the same thing over and over and over again.
Yeah.
I suppose, like in tennis, you know, that you've got a range of different things that you can respond to, but they're quite anyway. So we talk about this today. How goalkeepers, you've got to be creative on the spot. You can train all of these different movements, repetition, you know, lunging and whatever with your hands. But there are moments when you have to fling yourself around, and there is that you kind of have to expect that you're going to have to pull off something unorthodox.
Yeah.
That's where the creativity comes in, because you've got this tool set of all your different saves that you can make with your stick and your glove and whatever. I should maybe show you my part of my kit so that hang on.
Why not? Props.
Yeah, exactly. Hang on. Okay. I'm a total geek when it comes to this stuff, but so these are your sort of pads that you have to play with, and as you can imagine, you know, you've got a nice left save and a right save and a stick and whatever, but there are moments when you just have to sort of pull off something that, yeah, as I say, a bit unorthodox. So you train the basics, but then expect to have to be creative, I suppose. So that, yeah, when you say creativity, it's sort of it's taking all this different stimulus and responding to it as quickly as possible in goalkeeping.
Yeah. That's cool.
If that kind of answers your question, I think.
Yeah, and I mean, it's so interesting, like just thinking of like kids starting out, it's just these really basic things, and then it's like, no, you're not doing that, you need to do something in between that, and like starting to work out those things on the go.
Yeah. So one of the girls today, she's never had to make a save with her stick before. I'm like, why are we carrying a stick then? What's the point?
Yeah.
You know. So today's focus was, you know, you've got all these pads that you can make all these tackles with, but let's really focus on one-handed stick. Can you improve your skills with the stick?
Yeah.
You know, can you be as good as a defender or an attacker with just your one hand on the stick as they are with two? Those sort of things. So let's practice reverse sweeping. You should never really have to. You never saying, oh, well, my previous coaches told me never to do this. And I said, well, you never know when that skill might be required.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll see if my teaching techniques actually works or not. I don't know. Let's be creative, guys. All these goalies sort of creative stuff maybe, but if they're having fun, then we're winning.
Yeah, that's cool. And how have you found teaching? Like, is this your first time teaching?
No, I did a bit when I was younger, traveling, teaching English a bit. So it's I think it's a discovery process as well. You know, you discover how to teach as you do it. I've never coached before. I've been coached, so I kind of trying to think back to those days, different styles, different coaches, and yeah, just putting together little plans, but then also just being ready to say, okay, well, what would you like to work on today? You know,
Yeah.
and or I might notice a flaw in their footwork, let's say, so let's work on footwork. So I'm getting there, but I don't really have I don't have a structured program yet. So I'm kind of building it bit by bit.
Yeah.
I'm loving it because it's actually really helps me go, oh, okay, yeah. It's not just your game, it's my game as well, and I can then sort of reflect on my own technique.
Yeah, it gives you kind of like this self-awareness, right? Because you're like, this is what I would do.
Yeah. And how would I describe it? How would I?
Yeah.
And you've got to break that down, distill that down into something that a 14-year-old can understand.
Yeah. Which is also interesting, where like coming back to trying to hire someone, right? Like for your editing, for example, you're like, this is what I do, or this is like how I edit it, like this. But you've never actually said that to anyone. It's just ingrained, and like what is my reasoning behind this? Why do I don't know, cut it here rather than there, or change the volume like this? I don't know. And you even sometimes question, do you realize, actually, I'm taking this for granted. Maybe that's not the best thing to be doing the way I do it. Yeah.
But there's open-mindedness. Like if you can be that open-minded and sort of adjust your views accordingly, then you'll sort of adapt and overcome. Oh,
I just lost my lights again. Oh, maybe it's a sign. Cool. Well, let's before we run out of lights, let's catch you doing your last attempt. Hold on a sec. All right. Cool. Ready, go.
I didn't do the full screen, damn it. Loop. Come on, let's go. Just gonna. I'm kind of going. I was going on feel to try and speed it up, but oh no, what's going on? It's gonna come.
Oh, it suddenly just came out of nowhere.
It came out of nowhere. What? Yep. Okay, and one tighter. Tighten. Oh, I've lost it. Uh-oh. Okay. Sort of. That one's a bit messed up. Sort of. Okay, I'm just going to go with that.
Nice. Cool. That's your best looking one.
Okay, best looking one. Not the best time, maybe, but.
All right, let's see where you are on the leaderboard.
What was the first time? Have you got recorded all the times?
Yeah. So how do I do this? All right, can you see this?
Yes. Okay, drum roll, please.
First time was 30.8.
Okay.
Second time, 49.7. Third time.
Oh God. Was it really? Oh, okay. Got worse and worse. Right.
So your first one was your best one.
I got a little bit too worried about the look, maybe. Don't know.
So
I'll take it. I'll take 30 seconds to do a bow tie. It's not bad.
Well, it puts you, you're faster than Arnie, so
okay, yeah.
puts you in second place. Nice.
Oh. Happy with that? No, happy with that. That's respectable, I think. Although I think if anyone actually, if I rocked up with a bow tie looking like this.
It's a new look. You're starting something new.
Not quite as perfected as yours there, but
no, that's cool, man. Awesome, Charlie. Where should people find you on the webs?
Well, you can follow me on Instagram. My name is Charlie at Charlie Posnett is my personal. My business is called White Squirrel Limited. You can find that at whitesquirrel.co.uk, and follow on Instagram is at White Squirrel _
Nice.
White Squirrel _ and Squirrel has 2 R's.
Sweet.
For those dyslexic ones. I always spell it wrong. Yeah, there you go, White Squirrel.
That's cool.
Check it out if anyone wants a video.
And was there anything else you wanted to like?
Yeah, how to sum up creativity. Yeah, no, I love this chat. It's really interesting to just start sort of thinking about it. I probably haven't provided much deep insight into it, but it's a nice process to think about, to go through that. And so how creative am I guess.
Yeah. And like more creative. Yeah, what I'm really enjoying is like talking to people who do different things, right? And like seeing what that looks like in their life, like what it's the nitty-gritty of what they're doing. And like I think you said it, like there's these different tools. Wherever you are, you have these different tools that you can apply. And in this process of like
our brains just, so I guess, and this is the question, is how are people wired differently to feel like they're more creative or not? And I think creativity is something that we all have, and it's just it's a matter of open-mindedness to different ideas and concepts. If you're staring at a blank page and you're trying to come up with an idea, somebody might see a blank page and immediately be able to fill it with thoughts and ideas. Does that make them more creative, or does, I don't know.
Would you say you think in like images?
100%.
Okay.
If any sort of stimulus, sounds, smells, words, is all visual.
Okay. Wow.
So, yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, because I've got a friend who has, I don't know if you call it condition or something, but he can't picture things in his head. Like if you say, imagine a candle, like I think he thinks of the word. He doesn't see like a picture of a candle.
See that, as soon as you say candle, I'm like, okay, yeah, red candle with a little thing, immediately I had an idea of a certain type of candle.
Yeah, which is, I
could pick that candle up right now, it's all there.
Yeah.
So maybe I'll retract my statement about anyone could be creative, I suppose.
Yeah, but I mean, he can probably still be creative, but it's like
in his different way.
In words, like, so what he's gonna produce is so different to someone who's thinking in images, right? It's like
that's really
mind-blowing.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
And I guess there was something there in like creative confidence and like
that's what I mean by sort of it's you can be creative. You've just got to accept. You've got to let it happen. In a way, it's kind of be confident that something will come out
Yeah.
of the process.
What gave that to you? Like, how did you, is there any person, or was it just a case of like trying over and over again, or like
In terms of,
do you think you got that from someone, or?
yeah, maybe. I think that could be a family, a nurture thing, maybe. My mum's quite creative, I would say. We would always do little arts and crafts together. With my brother and I, we'd have these arts and craft days, and I think, make banners and posters and whatever, drawings. So I was always given access to that. And I don't think I was ever, my creativity was probably quite, or my wild imaginative brain was probably quite evident as a kid. And I was never told that anything was wrong, and I think that sets you up really well. I was never really criticized.
Yeah.
I was always just encouraged, really, to sort of go for it. Yeah, that's good. That's nuts.
What is this lights doing?
That's another interesting topic, I suppose. But nature versus nurture.
Yeah, and this, I guess.
And I wonder, like, if you're told as a kid, oh, that's, it's not good enough, or I don't know. I just feel everyone has creativity in them. It's got to be brought forward, if that makes sense.
Yeah. No, and it's really interesting to see. I mean, I saw this interview, it was like Serena or Venus Williams, and she's kind of just been like super confident. I mean, she's like, I don't know, 12 or 14 years old in the video, and she's just like, I'm gonna win Wimbledon or something like that. And the interviewer is like, what makes you so sure, kind of thing. And her dad is kind of like off to the side. He's just like, what are you doing, man? Why are you making her doubt herself? And it was so interesting to see like how her father just like instilled this like confidence in her. And I've just finished watching there's a Kanye West documentary on Netflix.
Okay, yeah.
Because I've just been wondering, like, what makes this guy tick? Because he's just like so creative. He's just putting out so many different things.
It seems like he just doesn't have a filter.
Yeah.
And that is it. It's just letting it, whatever it is, whatever tools, and he's, as a musician, he's letting those thoughts come to be.
Yeah. And
if you've got people telling you, no, that's not right, then you immediately shut that off.
Yeah. And Kanye West also, his mom was just amazing. Like, he's in the documentary a bit, and just the way she's just like supporting. So this like this nature nurture thing is like so interesting to see. That kind of I think when, even if you're encouraged all the way, maybe there's still an element of raw talent at the base of it. But I think if you're given the tools and the confidence, I think anyone can be creative. Yeah, for sure. That's cool. Sweet, Charlie.
Go make art.
I like it. Awesome, man. Thanks so much for that.
Thank you. You got me thinking.
Fantastic. Maybe we'll have to have another check-in in like a year or two's time and see where we're at.
Yeah.
Cool. Sweet, Charlie.
Cheers, Kim.
Good to see
you, man.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Catch you soon.
Yeah.